So I got Michael Schellhart with me here, aka Big Mike, with Exodus Benefits. It's a pleasure to have you, Mike.
Hey, it's good to be here, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and just so everybody knows, my name is Amir Zamani. I'm with Next Level Digital, and we're doing a podcast trying to dive in and see how Big Mike over here is runs his business, is pulling out crazy AP week after week. We're gonna find out his secret sauce. We're gonna find out if he has any tips and tricks for everybody else in the industry and at his agency. So, Mike, let's start off real quickly. Can you introduce yourself? Like, tell us who you are, where you're working at, and pretty much how you got started in insurance. That'd be great.
Yeah, you bet. So, my name's Mike Schellhart. As he said, most people call me Big Mike. I'm from Exodus Benefits. I'm with FFL right now. Started in the industry about 6.5 years ago. I was at a different IMO before. And for me, it was more about I wanted control. I wanted to be paid kind of what I'm worth. And so, in talking to a lot of different people, I came across Kyle and Ginger Licklider. I joined their team about 4 years ago. Absolute rock stars in the industry. Love them to death. Run one of the best, smoothest, most well equipped teams in the industry. I think that we're growing fast. We're just using both sides of our license. So the system that we have is really unique. When you sell life insurance, that's great. And it protects families and it helps families. But when you're able to provide them with something, in my opinion, that everybody in the world should have, which is health insurance, it opens up a different level of opportunity for you, right? You get to use
Definitely.
the health side of your license and the life side of your license, which comes together in just perfect harmony, right? How many times can you say you got a lead and you sold them multiple different products? So you guys are creating these leads for us, which is absolutely phenomenal. But we're not just selling one thing to that lead. We're able to offer multiple levels of protection for that family, which makes it really rewarding for us.
Definitely. Well, I am curious though, Mike. What did you do in your past life before insurance? What were you doing back then?
So I started my first business when I was 16 years old, primarily all in the automotive aftermarket, third generation automotive guy. I did a bunch of stuff from customizing shops to auto parts stores, and then ended up being the kind of senior business development manager slash director of sales for a large automotive manufacturer. And when I went through a divorce and didn't want to be that part-time dad. Being a dad is my number one job in the world. I love it. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So I traveled a lot, all 50 states, all over Latin America, Canada, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela. And so I wanted a career that I could do from home and get back to having that time freedom. So I stumbled across insurance, and I basically interviewed a bunch of different insurance companies and settled on the place I was at before. Quickly after becoming, rookie of the year, top producer, impact player of the year, all that stuff, I just looked at the bank account, and the AP that I was posting wasn't necessarily reflected in my bank account. And so I was like, okay, there's got to be something better. And that's when I stumbled
Mm.
on Family First Life. And Sean Mike flew me out to Florida, met him, met Trey Honeycutt, joined Kyle's team. And as they say, the rest is history, buddy.
Oh, for sure. Well, the only reason I ask about your past life is I feel like a lot of agents will look at the success of like a top producer and say like, oh, he's been in his past life he was doing sales, he's been doing it his whole life, and then somebody brand new would be like, my last job I was in security, and now I'm selling insurance. Like now I have no idea what I'm doing. But to be honest with you, what we've seen a lot of top producers is that yes, some of them do come from like a sales background. Like for example, Antonella, she used to sell timeshares, which is probably one of the hardest sales in sales, like in
Right.
general. But we do have some people that we've seen where they have come from a completely different walk of life, and now they're just killing it in insurance and sales. Like it's not always like top producers are they've been doing sales their entire life. I mean, what do you think about that?
I kind of think that, sales gets in your way sometimes. Like, I think that people focus on all these tips and tricks and tactics and, different stuff like that, word tracks, and they get so lost in the script, they forget the biggest thing. The biggest thing we're here to do is We're here to serve our clients, right? You got to have that servant heart that says, okay, I want what's best for you. Not necessarily what's best for me, the agent, but you start out what's best for the client, what's good for the agent, and what doesn't hurt the company, right? So you turn it upside down, and I, I was telling you before the podcast starts, I have this kind of line that I use quite often. Just let me be your big, bald, bearded Sherpa guide, right? I don't work for the insurance companies. I work for my clients. I want what's best for them and their families. We'll provide them with the most amount of coverage for the best price. So as long as I'm taking care of them and I'm educating them on what they need and what's best for them, it's a win-win.
So you're so the main thing you're saying is that there's a lot of noise out there, and people get caught up in the noise. They're always, like you said, always looking up new tips, tactics, tricks, and they think that there's some secret sauce to getting the sale. But what you're saying at the end of the day is that this is a people business, and that you got to treat people like people, and you need to connect with people, and that's how you will ultimately be successful. Is that hit the money pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, that hits the nail on the head. You have to build a rapport because you're calling people on the phone, whether you're doing
Hmm.
it Zoom, telemarketing, face to face, whatever. It's about building rapport. It's about building trust. And so when you build that trust from a genuine place where they can feel that you're actually concerned about them and their family, and they don't feel pushed into one direction, they're the person in the driver's seat. I lay out multiple options for them, a good, better, best. And then I say, hey, which one of these works the best for you? Which one fits your budget? Which one do you feel protects your family? And which one do you think you'd have for the long term? If you are in that business of pushing too much, right, and you're not assuming the sale going into it, I don't care necessarily if they choose A, B, or C. I just know that they're going to choose one of my options, right? So if I feel like I'm pushing them into something or I'm forcing the issue, that's where chargebacks come into play. That's where, the business goes away and it's not sticky. As long as you're adding multiple lines, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you're taking care of your clients, you create sticky business and your persistency goes up.
Awesome. Well, appreciate that insight. Let's change gears just a little bit, Mike, and let's talk about what does your daily operations look like? Like when you wake up and you're getting leads, like when you start your day to your end of your day, can you just walk us through what kind of like what your day looks like for a typical insurance sales for Big Mike?
Yeah, so all of my days look pretty similar. Um, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I do gratitude, I do prayer, I do Bible study, right? Um, for me, it's all about what God has given us to be able to make the day work. Puts me in the right frame of mind to serve other people. Work into some self, development, some self help stuff. I do a quick workout, quick walk, do some vibration plate, basic stuff. Sit down every morning with my lovely bride to be, Heather. We have a cup of coffee. We discuss our day. We go over our schedules. She is now full time with Exodus Benefits as well. She's the director of agent success. So her job is crucial to what we do as far as running Facebook ads, making sure that, agents have all of the information that they need at their fingertips. She's always designing us cool new things. So I like to go over and stay up to date with what she's got going on. Then pretty early, I'm working East Coast. So I live on the West Coast, licensed in 32 different states. And so when you guys run, ads for us to create leads, we make sure that we have Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. So I start from, the East Coast. That way I'm getting a couple extra hours on top of what other agents are doing. If I'm working 3 extra hours by starting my day at 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
then I do that 5 days a week. I'm 15 hours ahead of work on your average agent who's just basically starting, at their normal time and cutting off at a normal time. Then as I go through the day, I make sure that I'm, constantly checking in with my dialer, constantly checking in with you guys. You and I talk quite often. We text back and forth if there's problems. Normally there isn't. If there is, you guys are literally the best at solving it quick, efficiently. I absolutely love it. Um,
That.
the next step is, I've got preloaded normally about 9 to 11 appointments a day that were either booked by my dialer, booked by myself, or pre-booked, self-booked by the client. I work those afternoons. Wrap up time training. We do a 4 o'clock Pacific time training every single day on our team. So new agents, old agents alike can log in, really get that on hands-on training from the people on the team that are making it happen and being successful. It's not the same trainer every time. Sometimes Kyle trains, sometimes Elke trains, sometimes Antonella trains, Courtney, me. Just there's so many great people on our team that have just a huge wealth of knowledge, and we're constantly educating each other. We're constantly looking into different tweaks and how to serve our clients better. Evening time, just because I pick up my kids and we've got sports and wrestling and horseback riding and barrel racing and all the things that our 5 kids combined do, um, we're still in the evening, posting social media. We're texting with clients back and forth. I'm sitting there watching TV or having dinner, preparing quotes. Um, I love this business because it gives us the time freedom to do
Hmm.
what we want to do with our family. But
Definitely.
it doesn't mean that you only can work 5 hours a day and be super successful. People don't treat this business like a business. It's truly your business. So you have to treat it like a business, work it like a business. And I've used this analogy a ton. But if you owned a store, a
Hmm.
convenience store, you would go in each day and you would unlock your door, you would turn on your open sign, and you would go to work. So for me, I walk out into my office, right? I turn on my lights, I open my blinds, I log into my laptop. That's me making the switch from I was asleep and relaxing with my family to now it's work time. That's me turning on my open sign. The second piece of that is, and I think most people get in the weeds, I was guilty of it for years. Your leads are your inventory. If you have a store and you turn on the open sign and you're expecting to make money, you got to have Gatorade, you got to have Snickers, you got to have chips, you got to have something to sell the people,
Yep.
right? In this business, leads are your inventory. So why would anybody ever switch off their leads from week to week? Number one, like you've explained a ton to me, they don't stay seasoned, right? You don't get the results. Your CPL goes super high, your leads go down, you lose that momentum that you once had. So, in my mind, those pieces, like any kind of recipe, whatever, you leave out one of the ingredients, it tastes totally different. You know, um, for it to work right, you got to have all the ingredients.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just to go back to your inventory example, I mean, like it's so let's say somebody's running an ad budget and then they turn down that ad budget to like, I don't want to spend too much money. It's just like inventory in a store. Let's say all your Gatorades are being sold out super quickly, and now you're like, you know what, I don't want to buy more Gatorades. I'm only gonna, stock it up like 20% of what I usually do. So then everybody that comes into your store, it's like, well, where's all the Gatorade? I want a Gatorade. So if you don't have your ad budget enough to keep funneling your business and giving you the amount of traction that you need, then it's kind of like an empty store shelf where it's like, well, you never have anything on the shelf anytime somebody comes into your store. So you need to constantly be upgrading your lead spend, trying to get more leads, trying to get more at bats. And I feel like that's always been a very difficult thing for agents to kind of grasp is I'm being successful. This is profitable. I need to, I need to increase the amount of activity coming into my business. So that's been a very difficult thing for us to kind of fight with agents because a lot of them, they don't want to spend more money. And it's the per day cost. Like running your own ads, the per day cost is really difficult mental block to go through. It's like, man, I'm spending $50 a day. I'm spending $100 a day. It's like crazy. But then when they're buying leads, it's completely shifted. It's like, oh, I'm buying 2 lead orders a week, which is like 1,000. You're going to spend $1,000 a week on leads, but you weren't willing to even give us like $50 a day on ads.
So I think that the thing is, like, I'm no Picasso, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
no artist. So if you gave me a blank canvas and the best paints on the planet, I doubt if you could pick out what I'm trying to draw. Okay. But if you gave me a paint by number and said, hey, one is blue and two is yellow and so on and so forth, you're going to be able to tell what the heck I painted. Insurance is the same way. Follow step by step what you're supposed to do. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Systems are in place for a reason because they're successful. You got to automate as much as you can. We we had this conversation with you, right? We were like, "Oh, well, we're going to run our own ads and we're going to save ourselves the money, right? And we're going to do this and we're going to do that." And then we got into it and we're like, "We have no idea what we're doing. I
Mm-hmm.
sell insurance. I don't run ads. So why wouldn't I gladly, which we do now, gladly pay you, right, to run our ads? That's something out of my head and out of my mind. I know that the way we started it, you care about us because you were like, don't start your budget there, start your budget here, and then we're going to increase, and then we're going to increase. Like, you sold me on leads the same way I sell my clients. You educated me, you walked me through the process, and you made me trust you guys. And to me, that's the ultimate compliment because you have people out here who will go, oh, I'm going to drop $2,300 to this random lead vendor I found online. But you're not going to just consistently pay $3 to $7 to $1,000 a week to create your own leads that are
Mm-hmm.
way more high intent, way higher close rate, and they're just far better. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Follow, it's like the old movie What About Bob, right? Baby steps. You know, baby step yourself to success, baby step your client to the close, and make sure that you're following the path that has been created and set out by thousands of agents before you that are wildly successful.
Definitely, and I'll tell you this: I'm guilty of doing. I'm a DIYer, so it's like, oh, I don't want to pay somebody to do that. I'm gonna go learn it myself. It's like I'm gonna go learn this myself. I'm gonna learn this myself, and it's like at the end of the day, you're trying to learn all these things to save money that you totally eat into your bread and butter. So it's like I can go learn to fix my own car. I can learn to fix my computer. I can do my own landscaping. I can do this, and it's like, at what point of my day do I have just to do my normal stuff anymore? Not much, because I've learned everything and I'm trying to do everything. So it kind of makes it where you have no time to focus on your own business. And we see that all the time. Agents try to run their own CRM, they try to run their own leads, they'll try to do all their entire tech stack all by themselves. And then you ask them, like, well, how many hours a day are you dedicating to insurance or your business? And like, well, maybe like 2 or 3 hours, because 2 hours goes to CRM, 2 hours goes to figuring out leads, and it's like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, you should be 1 hour maybe focusing on managing other people that's doing that stuff for you, and 7 hours selling and managing your business.
One of the things that I would behoove every single agent to do is spend an entire week dialing 300 to 400 leads a day, right? Triple dial your leads. Close everything that you can in that week. Book as many appointments as you can in that week. Get rid of all the distractions that you have. Okay? Just your life is going to be fine for 7 days doing it. And I mean dial every day for 7 days. And at the end of that week, add up how much you made, right? Regardless of what your commission level is, regardless of what products you're selling, add it up. Then take that amount and say you dialed 300 leads per day for 7 days. That's 2,100 leads. So take that amount and divide it by 2,100. That's how much you make every time you pick up the phone. Whether they answer, whether they get closed, or whether they tell you no, that's how much you make every time you pick up the phone. So if somebody said to me, Mike, every time you dial your phone, you make $35, or $25 or $15. Some
Mm-hmm.
calls are 5 seconds. You dialed the number, boop, boop, boop. You went like that. It was busy. You hung up. I made that amount of money, right? It makes it clear and easy that if I go and I fix my own computer, to use your analogy, or I do my own landscaping, to use your analogy, and it takes me an hour, 2 hours, and then I go, okay, my average call is 2 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 60 minutes. I could have made 30 dials. In that 30 dials, I averaged $20 per phone call, right? That's a lot of money. So now you go, okay, a landscaper cost me $75 or $100 once a week. You just paid for that guy in 1 hour of dialing.
Yep.
Concentrate on what you do, use your money wisely, pay your leads first, pay your debts, pay your expenses, pay what you need to pay, then pay yourself second. But the secret to the time freedom is to open up enough time so that you can go to your kid's concert, your kid's soccer game, go to the winery with your wife, do whatever you like doing, go to the gym, go shop, whatever. We've tried to automate as much of our life as possible so that we truly have not only financial freedom, but time freedom.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, let's shift gears again one more time. Let's talk about leads. I want to hear about like the different lead types that you've gone to and where you're at now. So let's just start from the beginning. Like, what was the very first kind of leads that you worked, and then let's keep going down the cycle. I want to hear about your journey of leads throughout your insurance career.
Yeah, for sure. So, when I first started, we were doing mail, right? Mail leads for
Right.
mortgage protection. You either
Mm-hmm.
paid a company to mail a ton of leads out for you, or you bought the generic ones that they did. And man, times have changed so much in the short period of time that I've been in insurance, because we were totally okay paying like $2,500 to $3,000 a week and paying $50 to $80 per lead. And I just got my little report from you yesterday, which I love, by the way, right? Our lead cost is 10% of that,
Mhm.
of what we used to pay, right? Now, they're far more high intent. They remember it because it didn't take 7 days to get mailed there, and then 7 days to get mailed back, and then 4 or 5 days to get processed and emailed to you. And so they may have, it might have been 3 weeks ago that they filled it out. This is literally a form or, an ad that they clicked on 2 hours ago. So there's no more of the excuse of, I don't remember that. They literally
Yeah,
just
it's
did it
instant.
because they come in real time. And it's
Hmm.
always been speed to the lead. I don't care if they're clicking on 4 different ads from 4 different agents. I'm getting to them first. I'm getting to them fast, whether it's through the automation that runs directly out of the CRM, whether it's a call from my dialer or a call from me. We are getting after the lead right away. And
Absolutely.
everybody remembers it. So the transition from what it once was to what it is now is night and day difference. Now, in between there, we went through, a ton of different leads. I've bought IUL leads, I've bought final expense leads, I've bought other health leads, I buy yours, and I've been successful with all of them. But I will say that, and this isn't because I'm on your podcast, I'm a no BS guy. I would say it differently if it was different. But the way that you guys go about leads and the customer service that you guys have provided to me and the Wednesday call, which I think is absolutely genius, right? We've been twice as successful as we've ever been in
Love
their
that.
quality, their high intent. And I know if I need you or Sean or anything from you guys, you're literally there in an instant to help. I've texted you sometimes at 10:30 at night just because something pops into my head, and
Yeah.
you've actually responded, which I figured you'd get me back in the morning or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I feel bad. Hey guys, don't text Amir at 10:30. This isn't like an ad texting, whatever. But you guys are so responsive and you're so good at what you do and you're so just willing to work with the people. I highly doubt if I'm the only one you work with. You know what I mean? So everybody from my team that does your leads, everybody from Kyle's team that's on, our bigger team that does your leads, we all love them, and we all love the service that we get from you guys.
Love it. Yeah, we appreciate that. I know you're not. I know you're not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I know you would say that even if we weren't here, and we do appreciate that. And I will say that we do treat our business as people first, and we are highly invested in like the agent success. So when we hear somebody's not successful, it really does. It hurts us. It makes us feel like we failed. And we know at the end of the day, like with marketing and leads and sale, like it's too ambiguous to help every person and make everybody successful. But it does suck when there are people that come on and we can't bring them to be top top producer but there are a lot of people on the platform that are doing great. And just like you said, it's all the leads they're coming in good, they're coming in consistent, they're coming in real time. So that's like the evolution of leads. Like you said before, 3 week lead time, mailers, $80 leads. It's kind of it's like very similar to like putting a billboard. You spend $2,000-3,000 a month on a billboard, and it's like, what's your lead cost on a freaking billboard? It's probably like $70-80 a lead. So in this day and age with social media advertising, and you're able to get in front of millions and millions of people's eyeballs, like right in front of them, super powerful. Um, yeah, I don't know what the next evolution of leads is and advertising, but at this moment, yeah, social media is probably one of the most powerful outlets to advertise and get leads. So we've been
Well,
happy with it, and that's
it's
awesome.
literally the new gold rush, right? Because I don't care what you're selling. If you're selling a service, a product, or whatever, right? I think that the next evolution of leads is probably going to be much like your micro influencers, right? Where you're going to have people, you have all these famous people who, go, oh, I'm using this, toothbrush or tooth
Right.
whitening, right?
Hmm.
Um, that has kind of gone away, and it's now average everyday people selling for companies on TikTok or whatever the case may be. Social media isn't going anywhere. What you guys are doing isn't going anywhere. It's literally in its infancy, right? Because there's more platforms, there's more opportunities to get information instantly. Um, I think that the way that you do it is just going to change slightly. We're always going to need the people like you that are the ones that know how to do it and make it successful. But I think the evolution is going to be customizing those ads. I think the evolution is going to be people getting savvier with what they say and what they put out to distinguish themselves from the other people running the ads. But it's just the beginning. If somebody thinks that they got into it too late or whatever the case may be, right now is the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Internet gold rush. It is pretty amazing that you can think of a business, go on social media, and just start throwing some ads and getting some sales. It might not be profitable right at the beginning, but the ability to do that without having to call like some TV company and get your ads on TV or figuring out who's running that billboard. Anybody can literally go on social media, run an ad, generate some sales is pretty crazy to think about. And that, like you said, internet gold rush, and we're at the forefront of it. So. Let's see. I do want to talk a little bit about your client retention piece, kind of like after the sale. How are you minimizing chargebacks? What advice do you have for people on client retention?
So, client retention is super important. I think it's one of the most overlooked pieces of the entire industry, right? If somebody calls your client and says, hey, I've got some life insurance, hey, I've got some health insurance, hey, I've got a retirement solution, and they don't instantly go, oh, hey, I appreciate the call, but I work with Big Mike from Exodus Benefits, you have failed. Because that means
Mhm.
somebody can steal your client, right? That means that you haven't done your follow up. You haven't done a post close call. You haven't educated them on their product. You haven't logged them into their back office or how to access their policy or update their beneficiaries or whatever. Um, you haven't reached out to them every single time that there's some kind of a change in their life, right? Let's face it, people get married, people get divorced, people have kids, people change jobs, people, have these life changing events. And so if you're not scheduling a drip campaign to simply check on them, to offer them additional products, once again, to make the business stickier, and setting up calls with them on a regular basis to just go over their life and review their policies, then you're missing an important step. Go back to when we talked about the paint by number, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the paint by number pieces. And if you miss a step, it leaves you vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable, that means somebody can take your business.
So
Whether
so
it's
you're wait, real quick. So you're doing a post sales call with every single person that you've sold. Like you're on, like you schedule a call. You're showing them how the policy works, the portal, how to submit stuff. Like you do that for every single sale.
every single client, every single sale.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Whether it's whether it's
Wow.
life insurance, whether it's an IUL, whether it's a dental policy, whether
Mhm.
it's a life insurance, health insurance, it does not matter. Every single client gets a post close call. Every single client gets a congratulations email. Every single client gets my digital business card, my website, literally how to get a hold of me. And we make sure that each one of them know that they're important. We're very customer service orientated and customer service forward. So we want them to be able to, instead of calling directly in, we want to be their first point of contact. So we can tell them who to contact, what department, what number they should call, what they can do if they need to change their payment. We have clients reaching out to us every single day for a multitude of different reasons.
Interesting. Would you say a lot of agents kind of go the route of your route or the route of they make the sale, they're on to the next one? Which route do you think agents mostly go towards?
I think that you have to break that into two different questions. So here's the two different questions. One is, what do you think successful agents are doing? And what do you think agents that are constantly complaining are doing? So the
Interesting.
successful agents are doing it my way, right? They're following the paint by number outline. The people who are constantly complaining about chargebacks, constantly complaining about that they don't make enough sales, constantly complaining that their customers are getting sold by people like me, they're not following it.
I see. So, man, that's a tough pill to swallow because a lot of agents, I feel like the ones that are like, man, this isn't working, this isn't working. As soon as they make a sale, I feel like they're on to the next one. They're ready for the next sale. They don't, and the service level kind of goes out the window, and
Well,
that's when the chargeback happens.
there's a 92% fail rate, right, in the
Hmm.
industry, and you have to look at why. And there's only a couple of reasons why. We all have the same ability to talk. Granted, some of us are a little smoother than others. Granted, some of us have a little more education than others. But those are easy things, right? Read a book, watch a podcast, listen to experts in the industry. You can learn all that. Okay. The next step is effort. Everybody can change how much effort they're putting in, how often they're calling, how many times they're reaching out to their clients, the things that they're doing to make their life better and their clients' life better. You can control that. So 92% of agents that fail, I'm sorry to say, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but it's 100% their fault. If you're at the wrong IMO, get to the right IMO. If you're
Mm,
not putting in enough effort, put in enough effort. Sometimes it's not the IMO's fault. Sometimes it's just the team that you're on's fault, right? Maybe you're
definitely.
not getting the support that you need. Maybe you're not getting plugged into the trainings. Maybe they gave you the painting, but they didn't give you the paints, right? Maybe they mixed up their paint by number order. So it's still your fault, right? Because you can leave, you can find a better team, you can find a different mentor, you can watch as many podcasts as you want, read as many books as you want, and you control the effort you put in. There was a time in insurance in between the two where I failed. I wasn't a good agent. I let my business slide. I wasn't buying leads consistently. I wasn't following the platform consistently.
Hmm.
When that happens, even though I've been a career salesman, even though I think I could sell a ketchup friggin' popsicle to a woman in white gloves, I messed up. And I messed up because I forgot the basics and I forgot that you follow the steps and you achieve greatness. And always keep in mind, success is just on the other side of uncomfortability
Oh
in
yeah,
life. So get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable so that you feel comfortable in the fire.
definitely. It's hard work over talent all day, right? You can be the most talented person in the world, the smartest person in the world, but if you don't put the pen to paper and you're not doing the hard work, it kind of goes in the trash. It doesn't matter.
The world is full of talented,
Hmm.
unsuccessful people. If you don't have that work ethic, that servant heart, it's awfully hard to be successful. But
Absolutely.
it's impossible, and I do mean impossible, to beat someone who has unrelenting faith and unrelenting work ethic. You can't beat those people.
I agree. Love it. Well, we're coming close to the end of the interview, Mike. I just want to wrap this up. If you have any closing statements, I know we just talked about like hard work and all that stuff, but anything for newer agents coming on the just brand new to insurance, you got a quick like elevator pitch for them, like how to be successful, what you need to do, don't do this, watch out for this, anything like that before we close this up.
For sure. The number one tip I could give to any new agent, actually anybody in any field, and I don't, it doesn't have to just be our field. Number one, don't ever stop buying your leads. First and foremost, the biggest thing that makes people fail, right? Number two, never stop learning. No matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are, never stop learning. Number three, never stop working on your craft. Take your phone. We all have an ultimate device at our disposal. Set it up, record yourself talking, pitch yourself and record it. Then watch it back, and you will cringe the first couple times you do it. You don't realize how many times you say and all the all the
Fill
words. Then immediately record it again, and then again, and then again, and then again. I'm 49 years old. I'm going to be 50 in March. I've been selling the majority of my life. This is something I do every single week because people can hear if you're smiling. People can
Mhm.
hear if you're not animated. They can tell if you're not using your hands, all these different things. So critique yourself. Become the best version of yourself. And the last thing I would say is never stop going after your goals, whatever those goals are. Set them, keep the accountable yourself first and foremost, and make sure that you're checking in on every single thing. Know your numbers, know your metrics, know how many dials you make, know what your leads cost, and know what every time you pick up the phone how much you make.
Love it. Well, those are some pretty wise words, Mike, and I will say that you've taught me something, so I appreciate it. I feel like every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to like a very wise person. So I'm gonna take my own advice from this podcast, and I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna learn from it, and I hope other agents watch it and learn from it as well. Mike is a tremendous guy, top seller. He knows what he's talking about. He's writing some crazy AP every single week after week. He's buying leads. He's showing up. He's doing the work. I have nothing but good things to say about Mike, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast and doing this with us. And I really hope it'll help at least one agent out there watching this, and they'll be able to get some good stuff from it. So thank you again, Mike. Appreciate you being on the show.
And anytime, anything I can do for you guys, I'm grateful for the opportunity to come on. And if I can help somebody, I'm more than willing to. Anybody who wants to follow us on social media, get different advice, tips. We post things not just about sales, but ways to help agents all the time. So Thank you guys for everything that you do, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Talk to you later, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone.